All right, we are just days away from the release of College Football 25. If you're like me, you've been waiting over a decade for this game. You grew up on this game every weekend. You were with your friends playing this game, and now we're excited to take, a team to the top in Dynasty mode. So I have narrowed down my top 8 schools to rebuild in Dynasty mode for College Football 25. And now I need your help to decide which team I'm actually going to rebuild on this channel. Maybe you can use this video for yourself if you're looking for a fun team to rebuild in College Football 25. Okay, so our first option here is Air Force. Why Air Force? Okay, couple reasons why Air Force is in the top 8 for me, if you will. All right, so number one, the reason why I think Air Force should be in consideration, America, baby. America, the red, white, and blue. We're serving her across the seas and also in the United States of America, playing some damn football. All right, number two, the jerseys are super clean. I mean, jerseys matter to me if I'm going to rebuild a team in college football. I need really clean branding, some crispy jerseys. In my opinion, some of the jerseys that Air Force has come out with in the last couple years have been some of the coolest jerseys around. I mean, this helmet from the jersey they had last year, I think is maybe the coolest helmet I've seen in the last 5 years in college football. I mean, look at this close-up on that bad boy right there. That fighter jet with the chrome, with the dark face mask. I mean, I think that's super badass. That matters to me. I love the branding. It's clean. The stadium, look, the stadium is not bad. It's kind of like a big old, bowl, if you will, a bowl design. It's okay. It's got some mountains in the background in some of these shots. Don't really know if you'll be able to see it when you're actually playing the game, because it really matters about what the end zone is. Just one big circular bowl. Looks like a toilet bowl. So the stadium, it doesn't blow me away necessarily. Also, the stadium name, it's called Falcon Stadium. All right, who is in charge of PR and marketing over at the Air Force for the college football team? We called it Falcon Stadium. That was the best that we could come up with. I don't know. So there are a couple cons, though. Number one, the cons are that we are in a conference that we don't love. We're in the Mountain West. Mountain West isn't a terrible conference, but it's not got the best competition. I mean, we could technically move them into a conference that we want to be in, but with names like New Mexico State, Colorado State, Utah State, Wyoming, Nevada, San Jose State, it's just not a conference that you're super excited about recruiting players to. Do you know what I mean? The location is a little bit random. We're located in Colorado. I don't know how that's going to work for recruiting. And this team doesn't pass the ball very much. I mean, if you look at their season last year, look at their highs in passing each game. Every game except for a couple, they're under 100 passing yards, right? In this game where they won versus San Jose State, they only threw for 28 passing yards. That is not the kind of offense we want to run over here. We're trying to do a high flying offense. Of course, we can make that change, but it's just they're not a very pass focused offense, and we would have to come in and make some waves. So Air Force is an option. All right, the second team that I'm considering right now, how about Florida Atlantic University, the Owls? Can I get a who in the chat, right? I mean, Florida Atlantic. Okay, let's talk about a couple pros and a couple cons. Firstly, their jerseys are crispy. I mean, I think that is one of the cleanest jerseys that we have seen in a little while. Let me move my camera so y'all can see this. That is clean. I love the white, the blue, the red. It mixes really well. The cursive owls, the helmet with the matte blue. I just think that's really, really clean. Their normal jerseys as well, I think are real nice. Those all whites, Florida Atlantic with a really nice text, nothing cheesy. I just think it's a clean look for a school that we don't talk about too much. The stadium, pretty cool stadium. You got a nice little mix of like city vibes. If you look at night, let's find a better picture. If you look at night, you got a little bit of the city in the background, but you've also got some palm trees out around the front of the stadium. So a nice little mix over there in that Florida heat. And the good news is this is a bad team, right? Last year, this team lost 8 games. We want to build a team from the ground up, right? Started from the bottom, now we here. We want to be the reason we got here, if you will. So I like that they're a bad team, and I like that we could take them places, right? Under our leadership, they could go places. And, you know, here's a couple things I'm concerned about, though. Number one, we're in the state of Florida, and we're one of the least attractive schools in the state of Florida. So even though Florida is a great recruiting state, are we really going to compete with some of these names? I mean, we got Miami that we have to compete with in the state of Florida. People are going to choose Miami, right? We've got other big names like the UCF Knights that we have to compete with. South Florida. Florida itself, one of the easiest schools to recruit at is Florida. In Florida State, you got some real powerhouse Florida schools that you're going to have to compete with. And also, I'm not obsessed with Conference USA. Like, Liberty's a good team for sure. Liberty. Western Kentucky has had some good years, but I'm just not obsessed with the conference, so it's an option. Okay, number 3. And this is a little bit of a personal favorite. I want to see what you guys think. The Virginia Cavaliers. Okay, so this was my team. This is my college football team growing up. My dad took me to games in Charlottesville, kind of fell in love with football in that way. Yes, we would get demolished every game. I mean, I remember going to a game versus Florida State, and I looked at the score, it's like 55-0, but I'm just enjoying my time, you know, watching football and being at the stadium. I actually really like the stadium as well. Scott Stadium, if you have been, then you would know. But they've got this badass mascot, the Cavalier. Before every football game, he runs out, or, well, not him, the horse runs out. It'd be weird if they both ran out at the same time. But he rides out on this horse with his sword. It's really badass. I've always loved the mascot. Obviously, you can see that's the different version of him, but that's like the in-person mascot that they have on the field, riding in on the horse, getting the crowd hyped up. Not a lot of people know that about the University of Virginia, but pretty badass, I would say. Stadium's really cool, Scott Stadium. I don't know if you guys can see this, but in the background, you can see some pillars, and it's kind of giving you that like presidential vibe. You know what I mean? It is in the state of Virginia, so obviously that's a bonus. I like it. I just love the vibe of, you know, how cozy this stadium is. It's not too big. It's not too small. They've got the little field at the back where, you know, students can sit on the grass. I really like Scott Stadium. It's, again, obviously some personal bias with Scott Stadium. And then great rivalry with Virginia and Virginia Tech, right? Now, unfortunately, I'm aware that at the moment, Virginia is not really in this rivalry very much. We're getting our ass handed to us pretty much every single year, but I'd like to change that. I'd like the rivalry against Virginia Tech to change under my watch, if you will, right? No more ass beatings. Now we're giving the ass beating. And I do like that we're in the ACC. We're in a conference that, you know, is a little bit underrated. Still some very prestigious schools. You got Boston College and Clemson and Duke and Florida State and Louisville and Georgia Tech, Miami, NC State, North Carolina, SMU just joined, Pitt, Stanford just joined, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest. I mean, like, this is a conference that's legit. We're a bad team in a conference that, you know, we could recruit a little bit easier. It's a Power 5 conference, if you will. Even though the Florida State Seminoles want to leave, or as I grew up calling them, the Cinnamon Rolls, because as a kid I couldn't pronounce it. They want to leave. Let them leave. All right, whatever. But here are the cons, obviously. So a couple cons. First one is the school's full of a bunch of nerds. All right, if you go to the University of Virginia, you got to recognize you're a really smart person. Okay. And that means we might miss out on some of the athletes that don't have good grades. I don't care about your grades. I just want you to be good at football. And, you know, that's something that we have to consider. And I don't know if it's my own bias. Like, am I overhyping this team? Is it not really going to be that fun to rebuild on the channel? So that's option number 3. Option number 4, this is a very popular one, so we won't spend too much time on that. And it's Kennesaw State, the Owls, another Owl team. And Kennesaw State, they are new on the scene. Their uniforms are pretty sick. They got that black and yellow vibe. Very cool, in my opinion. Simple, but, the nice Adidas logo. The helmets are cool. I like the logo with the K and the S. I just think it looks really nice. They got those great alternates. Just a nice looking, nice branding, They are from Georgia. So a little bit of a concern because it's a good school or a good state, for football. But are we ever going to out-recruit the other teams in Georgia, like Georgia and Georgia Tech? I just don't know that we'll ever be serious contenders, but maybe that will be a fun challenge to take on. The stadium's all right. They share it with a couple other teams in their school. I don't know. Honestly, I feel like every high school football stadium in Texas is bigger than this bad boy right here. So not all that exciting when you look at their football stadium. In fact, it's probably the least exciting stadium in all of college football, that in this game at least, and you have to play on it pretty consistently. So that is something to consider. And then Conference USA, not a great conference, not obsessed with it. Liberty, we talked about it, but just kind of indifferent. All right, the next one I'm actually quite excited about. How about James Madison? All right, new kids on the block, second year at this level of college football, and love the branding, the deep golds, the deep purples, if you will. And like their uniforms, I think they're super simple. It's hard to go wrong with purple, gold, and white. I like some of their alternates, the JMU logo. I just think it's a clean look. It's a simple, clean, elegant look. Sometimes I have that alternate black jersey, which I think looks really, really nice. And I've been to a game, so I really enjoyed going there as a kid. Grew up in Virginia, so it was, in the area. I liked their stadium. I thought it was super cozy. It wasn't too small either. And you could tell it was actually built for the college football team. They've been on the rise. So, that's exciting. Don't love the conference, though. They're in the Sun Belt Conference. Not a conference that has a lot of names that, stand out. Arkansas State. I mean, what? Is Troy the best name here? Maybe Marshall, Coastal Carolina, maybe App State. But it's just not... It's going to be tough to get into the playoffs each year with such a weak schedule. I guess we could potentially, if we wanted to, move conferences. But last thing I'll say is their mascot is called the Duke Dog. James, let me show you this, okay? James Madison Duke Dog. I think this is probably the most badass mascot. Okay. That's badass to me. The Duke Dog. It's classy. It's a mix of classy and we'll bite your kneecaps off type vibes. I really, really like that combo there. All right. The sixth option, and I don't think this is a surprise. This is Hawaii. Hawaii's just awesome. The branding is really clean. Obviously, everyone loves Hawaii. I mean, what's not to love about Hawaii? Jerseys are really cool. They've got the white, the black, the green. I love the tribal look, with the jerseys. They've got the Rainbow Warrior, alternates, if you will. Stadium is nice. Obviously, it's in Honolulu. I'll say this. I've been to Honolulu. I just went a couple months ago, actually. And the area around it was a little bit more run down than I actually thought it might be. But still a really cool area. Recruiting, what might be difficult, how many people... They want to visit Hawaii. I just don't know how many people want to live there for college. But really cool branding. Always a fun team. Thinking about the throwback days in college football, I think we all probably had a rebuild with the Hawaii Warriors, if you will. But next one, the Buffalo Bulls. All right, so I picked this one out just simply because the aesthetics, if you will. The branding is super clean. I love the jerseys. Let's have a look at what they're rocking with over there in Buffalo. That helmet, that black, alternate look that they've got with that bull. I just think that is so clean right there. I'm a huge fan of that. Love the colors, the great alternates, the all whites. It's kind of like the Detroit Lions in a way, of college football. But I just think those jerseys are super clean. They got so many different looks, which I like. If you're going to have a team in college football, you're going to have to be okay with that's the jerseys you get. And as many rotations of that jersey as you can get, I think the easier it might be. Now, unfortunately, they're in the MAC conference. This is probably the worst conference we've talked about. Not really any teams that I'm obsessed with here, but I just thought they were a cool branding. And the last one is Toledo, the Rockets. I mean, what's not badass about the Toledo Rockets? That's a really sick name. I love the color scheme. You know, the navy blue, the rich yellows. The helmets are crispy. Let's have a look at these helmets. I mean, that's crispy right there. That's nice. You can't tell me that's not nice. I just love that dark navy with that yellow color. Stadium's okay. It's kind of mid. You know, I'm not obsessed with the stadium. And then we are in the MAC conference again, you know, just like Buffalo. So not a conference that we love. So those are 8 options. I just want to know your guys' thoughts. I mean, ultimately, I might make the choice on my own. Maybe you're watching this video. It's going to help you decide what team you want to rebuild. But I'd love to hear from you guys who I should rebuild. So let me know in the comments below. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to follow along. I'll be doing Road to Glory and Dynasty content for you. But yeah, appreciate you guys big time. All love. I'll see you soon.